Today we embark on a journey through the vast and mesmerizing universe of Dune Part 2, the highly anticipated continuation of Denis Villeneuve's visionary adaptation of Frank Herbert's iconic novel. I saw the movie at the FanFirst IMAX premiere a couple of days ago, and I wanted to get this review out sooner, but I needed many sleeps to calm down and comprehend the brilliant movie I watched. In this review, we delve deep into the film's intricate storyline, profound themes, technical brilliance, and stellar performances, and explore how it sets a new standard for modern sci-fi blockbusters. Let's not waste any more time and dive right in. Dune Part 2 continues the story of Paul Atreides on the desert planet of Arrakis, delving deeper into the complex dynamics of power, religion, and destiny. I'm going to be completely honest, when the first Dune movie was released, I thought it was a good film, yet I didn't see why people called it a masterpiece, especially considering most of it is just a setup for Part 2. However, on a rewatch, the first movie gets so much better, and I think that watching Part 1 on the same day I saw Part 2 elevated the experience to a whole other level. Look, I have not read the Dune books. As a matter of fact, I bought the book a day before watching Part 2, that way I could read it afterwards, and let me tell you, I do not regret that decision at all, because the story Dune Part 2 has is one of the best I've seen put on a screen. At its core, the film explores the consequences of choices made by individuals and civilizations alike, resonating with timeless themes of identity, sacrifice, and the pursuit of greatness. Through the struggles of its characters, it invites audiences to reflect on the nature of power and the human condition in a universe shaped by competing interests and ancient prophecies. The movie does an amazing job at handling diverse themes like colonization, politics, religion, and fate. Many of the film's religious themes feel natural to the actions and beliefs of each character. Adapting such complex themes in a way where you can show and tell is an achievement of great sorts, especially because this movie really shows. Denis Villeneuve's direction in Dune Part 2 is a triumph of visual storytelling. The film uses state-of-the-art CGI to create a world that feels both lived in and otherworldly. From the towering sandworms that roam the desert to the intricate architecture of the Imperial Army, every detail is meticulously crafted, immersing viewers in a universe that feels rich and immersive. With what was able to be shown in this film, Denis Villeneuve has become one of my favorite directors of all time. I really hope I'm not butchering up his name in this review. I need to know what this mastermind was thinking when shooting these scenes, because he absolutely cooked. There's not a single shot in this movie I do not want to hang up on my wall. There was even a shot at the beginning of the movie. I just stopped paying attention and whispered, "That looks majestic as fuck." Greig Fraser's cinematography captures the grandeur and beauty of Arrakis. With breathtaking precision, each shot is a work of art, from the sweeping vistas of the desert to the intimate moments shared between characters. The use of light and shadow adds depth to the film's visual palette, while the dynamic camera movements enhance the sense of scale and spectacle. Greig Fraser deserves all of the awards in the world for what he was able to do in this movie. See, I can't even say words correctly. Every single shot in this movie looks insane and so realistic. In a world where big blockbuster movies cost millions of dollars to make and end up looking awful, Dune Part 2 looks like what it cost. Honestly, the near $200 million budget these movies had seems cheap to me, because this movie is a work of art, especially when you see it in IMAX. That third act has to be one of the best things my eyes have ever seen. I don't know what having a girlfriend feels like, but there's no way it's as good as this.
There is a narrow way through.
If we're talking about masterminds and their great work, we have to talk about the score. Hans Zimmer's score for Dune Part 2 is a masterstroke of musical composition. The haunting melodies and pulsating rhythms perfectly complement the film's epic scope, evoking a sense of wonder and awe every single time the music in this movie kicks in. You know shit's about to go down. After listening to the soundtrack at least 20 times, I'm not exaggerating, I have listened to that many times. After listening to the soundtrack at least 20 times, it is very, very difficult to choose a favorite piece. I mean, you have music like Kiss the Ring, Warm Ride, The Harkening Arena, but if I do have to choose a favorite, it would either be Harvester Attack or Lisan Al Gaib, because just listen to that riff. Meanwhile, the sound design immerses viewers into the world of Arrakis, from the howling winds of the desert to the thunderous roar of spacecraft taking flight. Together, the score and sound design elevate the film to new heights, creating a sensory experience that is both exhilarating and immersive. The scenes that have been highly promoted for this film have been the ones involving the sandworms, and rightfully so, because anytime one of those things appear, the seats in my IMAX theater would vibrate. It felt like we were getting the full 40x treatment. To be honest, the vibrations probably gave the people with the popcorn bucket an easier way of using that thing. Unlike Dune Part 1 that had very few action sequences, Dune Part 2 features exhilarating action sequences that are both thrilling and emotionally resonant. From the visceral combat between rival factions to the heart-pounding scenes across the desert sands, the film keeps audiences on the edge of their seats with its pulse-pounding intensity. Yet, amidst the spectacle, there is a sense of humanity and vulnerability that grounds the action in real emotion, making each victory and defeat feel earned and meaningful. There are so many great scenes. The entirety of the third act is something that is full of suspense and gets you infinitely hyped. You also have the entire black and white segment with Austin Butler's Fade Ratha, but to me, the best scene has to be the final duel between Paul and Fade Ratha. That fight has no music, all you can hear are the punches and the blades clashing. The duel is one of the most realistic, visceral things I've seen. And don't think just because it's not a big battle on a gigantic field that it does not have cool moves, because what Paul does in that fight is simply some of the best choreography I've seen in a long time. I'm gonna watch the movie probably like 10 more times just because of that scene. It's amazing. The ensemble cast of Dune Part 2 delivers performances of extraordinary depth and nuance. Rebecca Ferguson absolutely shines as Lady Jessica. I was not expecting for the direction her character takes, but man did she deliver. She gave a sense of mystery, but was also terrifying and kind of hot for some reason. Zendaya has a much bigger role in this movie and is actually a key piece to the themes in the movie that the movie tries to convey. Javier Bardem is unexpectedly the comedic element of the film. That was an aspect that felt refreshing considering how serious the movie is all the way throughout. So those lighthearted moments with his character were actually pretty good. Timothée Chalamet is who I owe a big apology to, because I did not know what this man had in him. He absolutely crushes it as Paul Atreides. I mean, I'll probably have to make a spoiler review after watching the movie a couple more times, because I simply cannot describe the god-tier acting he gives in this movie without giving anything away. And look, he does do some god-tier acting, but the big standout in this movie is Austin Butler, because holy shit. This guy right here, this right here is what acting was made for. He gives such a terrifying performance as Fade Ratha, to the point where you had to remember to yourself that this is the same guy who had to take lessons to get rid of his Elvis voice, because the voice he makes in this movie is not even close to Elvis. He is amazing, and if the world is fair, he will get nominated for an Oscar next year. And speaking about Oscars, I actually see it as a positive that this movie was delayed, because having this film going up against Oppenheimer in the Oscars would have been interesting to see, don't get me wrong, but the world would have been on fire, because both of them are technically spectacular. That said, There's no way this movie does not get nominated for any awards next year. I know it's way too early to start talking about that, but this movie is just, it is something else. In conclusion, Dune Part 2 is a cinematic masterpiece that pushes the boundaries of the sci-fi genre while staying true to its literary roots. With its captivating story, breathtaking visuals, and stellar performances, it sets a new standard for what modern blockbusters can achieve. Whether you're a fan of the novels or simply a lover of epic filmmaking, Dune Part 2 is an experience that demands to be seen on the biggest screen possible. I'm going to give Dune Part 2 a 9.9 out of 10. But again, that is my opinion. Let me know what you think about it in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. Probably talking about Dune Part 1.